So did you ask me?
Yes, Padma ji.
Okay. Om. Om. Respecting the self. Antarjyoti, Bahirjyoti, Pratyakjyoti, Paratparaha, Jyotireva Jyoti, Swayam Jyoti, Atmajyoti, Shivosmyaham. I am the supreme light of awareness, illuminating the outer world of objects, inner world of thoughts, and deep sleep state. I am divine light of the nature of auspiciousness, Shiva Swarupi. Guru Vandana. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri, Gurave Namaha. He who guides you on the righteous path is a Guru. When a parent or teacher or a friend or an animal or a bird or a plant conveys message of righteousness, they embody a Guru. A Guru's knowledge encompasses the creation, maintenance, and transformation at all times. A Guru represents the voice of the Creator himself in showing the righteous path for all beings at all times. Voice of the divine is revealed through the message of the Guru. Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guru can guide us to the supreme knowledge of that which pervades all the living and non-living beings in the entire universe, namely Brahman. I salute such a Guru. Respect to Guru Parampara. Narayana Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Beginning with Narayana through Adi Shankaracharya in between and up to my own preceptor, I bow with reverence to the entire tradition of preceptors. Beginning with Sadashiva through Adi Shankaracharya in between and up to my own preceptor, I bow with reverence to the entire tradition of preceptors.
Thank you very much, Padmaji. I bow down and welcome all the divine Atma Jyotis to today's satsang. Hari Om Satyaji.
Hari Om Vijayji. Hari Om all the Atma Jyotis.
Hari Om Satyaji.
Hari Om.
So we've been contemplating the Jagat Utpatti part, the final part of the Tattva Bodha. And in that, we've taken topic-wise discussions, or rather the smaller talks given by Prabhuji. The larger day talks are broken into smaller topic talks. And that is what we've been contemplating. And in our last session, we covered 56, and we were supposed to begin with 57. Is that right, Saravananji?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the notes done by Saravananji. So we're using this as our kind of map in order to have the discussion. So we'll begin with P57. So Saravananji, do you want to get started?
Okay. So we are in the Jagat Utpatti discussion. How did this world come into being? Right, and so the starting point is there is only one, and that's Brahman. So from Brahman, then how did this, like, what is the relation between Brahman and the world? And is it different? And I think we discussed about that in the previous topic, because when we define Brahman, all the characteristics we see, they are like very different from the world, right? And we say that Brahman is there all the time, it's not born, no dimensions, no limits, unchanging, while the world, the way we see it, it looks completely opposite, right? So has the world really come from Brahman? And like, why is it, if it's so, why is it so different, right? And that's where the concept of Maya comes in between. So it's the world creation happened through Maya, and we're trying to see what is Maya then. Is Maya different from Brahman? Right? And again, going back to the same point, there's only one Brahman. So that means Maya has to be related to Brahman. And the ways we see it is the Maya is the power of Brahman, that through which the world got created, right? And how is the creation happened? That's what the talks T57 and 58 are covering, right? So I see that, like, the starting point is with the three gunas of Maya: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And when they are in equal parts, right, there is no action. It's just a potential. It's like a the causal state, right? Nothing, no action. It is there, right? And from that causal form, when there is a disturbance, the Sukshma form comes, and from the Sukshma, like, the Stula form happens, right? What we see as the world is the Stula form, and how from that causal state it got into this state is what, like, we are seeing. So the starting point is this three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and the way it is associated is Sattva is the knowing ability, the knowledge component, and the Rajas is the movement part, and the Tamas is the inertia, right? Which is very you can see this almost in every form in the world or in us, right? There is this knowledge, we are able to understand things, right? And then, like, things move, we move, birds move, right? And Tamas, like, there is a static one, like the mountains, right? It's just there in one place, right? So almost everything in the world can be associated with these three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, right? And this is these three are the characteristics, I would say. But then, like, there is something else. Like, to create something, you need something, right? And that is that's where the Panchabhutas concept come into picture, right? From these three gunas, so what we see is, from these three gunas, a particular character is added to derive something. The way to understand this is like there is clay, right? And you can give a shape to form something called wheel. So it's derived from one, right? So like that, from these three gunas, um, we are creating the five bhutas like Akasha, Vayu, fire, Agni, water, and earth. And how these are created is coming in detail in the next topic. So basically, it's the three gunas and the panchabhutas is what is finally the Jagat is, and they all come from Maya, and Maya is the power of Brahman. So there is only one. Again, going backwards, there is only one, right? So one from one, the three form, from the three, the five form, and from the five, all the other things form. But again, if you trace back, they all go to the one. So there is only one. There is no other. That's by understanding of Jagat.
Wonderful. What is the way, Padmaji, you want to say about this?
Yeah. So my understanding is also similar, but I have clubbed like 57 and 58 because I felt that I needed to go through both to understand 57 better.
Sure.
So the same thing, like Maya is the power of Brahman. So Maya is the cause for the world, and but Maya cannot exist without Brahman. So Brahman is the cause. Sorry, Brahman is the source, and Maya is the cause for the world. So from our point of view, we have Brahman and Maya, which is essentially called as Ishvara. And from the equilibrium state where the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are all balanced, come out the first, the five elements first are coming out. Like, for example, it is all the basic principles. It is not manifested into anything. So the first one is the space which is created. And then the various, the other four, Vayu, Agni, Jala Tattva, and the Prithvi Tattva, it all comes about. And in this, the Sattva is the knowing ability, which transforms into all our five sense organs. For example, the Sattva aspect of space becomes the ears, the Sattva aspect of wind becomes the touch or the skin, and the Sattva aspect of water, tongue, earth becomes nose and smell, and then fire becomes the eye. And from these five elements or sense organs comes about the mind. And then the mind, after the mind comes out, we also have the Rajas aspect of us, which gives rise to the five organs of action and the five pranas. And these five organs of action are the ones that respond to the world. And so Maya in unmanifest form is the causal body or the Karana Sharira. And when they manifest, the mind, the prana, and the five, all the organs of action, they form the subtle body or the Sukshma Sharira. And then the tamas aspect, which is the inertia, it becomes the five elements and the gross body, and the world is formed for us. And then in this gross body, the mixture of the five subtle elements and different proportions are what is giving rise to the different gross bodies, is how I understand. So the subtlest becomes the space, which is very difficult for us to experience without any object in it. And the slightly grosser becomes the other four elements. So our body and world are, that is how I find out that the body and the world both are formed of all these five elements only. Essentially, they are composed of all these five elements.
Excellent. What about Shubhaji's understanding?
Sir, I couldn't go through. I'll get back on this.
Okay. But let's, Satyaji, is there something that you would like to share?
Yeah, Vijayji, I mean, not much. Yeah, what I understand here is, yes, whatever we are made up of, the body is made up of, the same thing is actually even outside. So all the five, I mean, Panchabhutas, if we see, the body also contains the same things. So everything is made up of the same thing, and everything is made by the same source. So that is where the body, we and the world, everything is the same, because the constituent is the same and the source is the same, the creator is the same. And the suffering is not caused by the world, or suffering is not caused directly by the world or directly by the body, because there is no one or no source out there which is planning a suffering. It is the avidya, or the not I mean lack of knowledge, that drives the sense organs into suffering. So the world is the same, the constituent of the body and the world is the same. So there is no difference, everything is Brahman and the source is Brahman. But suffering is created by lack of knowledge of the reality, the truth. So the sense organs can be traveling outside or inside. So when we are for a jnani, the sense organs, they travel inside. For an ajnani, it is taken over by the world. So there is no suffering or something planned or caused by something. Oh, the only cause is the lack of knowledge of the supreme truth.
Okay. So you are connecting this to how suffering is.
Mm.
But here in the 57 and 58, it is about how the world that you are seeing is manifesting. How the world is manifesting. So the focus of 57 and 58 is about the world, Jagat Utpatti. It's like saying, in order to make dosa, first I have to have that rice soaked in, and then once when in the night, I grind it like that. It is talking about the process.
Yes.
What all comes together and what all is mixed in what way in order to create what we see.
Yeah. So that is exactly. The source is the same, and the constituents are the same for the world and for the body to exist. So everything consists of Panchabhutas, and all the three gunas are what is actually the way of expression. That is what I feel.
Yeah. See, till now about the who am I? I am not the body. I'm not the mind. Was very intuitive, based on the Viveka given by Tattva Bodha or Vedanta's Viveka. Nitya, Anitya, Satya, Satya. So using those Viveka, you could discriminate. And you could arrive at clarity that, oh, I am none of this changing, so I am the unchanging. Now here, the leap is about the world. So if I am the unchanging, I am the Brahman. So which means that this world is nothing but manifestation of me in that sense only. So is that the way to understand this? Is the question clear?
Yeah, I think, what I understand here is the world is a manifestation, and I mean, the world, Maya is the source is Brahman. So everything that we see or perceive is Brahman. So till now it was I am not that neti neti, and now it is the culmination that whatever is, I mean, whatever is in existence or whatever we can see or perceive, everything is Brahman.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that the right way to look at this? So I am Brahman, and the world is a manifestation of Brahman. Which,
So it is like I and the world, everything is Brahman. All the existence is
Hmm.
Brahman.
So on what discrimination or by what logic can you see similarity between,
Yeah,
let's say,
exactly. That is what I feel. The Panchabhutas which I am made up of, or all the see for everything there is a source. So my body is not making up something. There is a source for everything. So what is the isness of everything is common. So the
Hmm.
isness is common, and all the constituents like the Panchabhutas are common, and how the three gunas appear in everything, that is common. So the source is also common. So that way, everything is Brahman. When there is separation, there is duality. So non-duality, that is everything that exists, is Brahman. That is how I am seeing it.
So the sat part, the isness part, is common between who I think I am to everything I see. The mobile exists, the book exists, the tree exists. So the isness, the existence part is common to me and to everything else. So here then the question becomes, is it one existence or is it more than one existence?
Existence is the same.
How to arrive at that?
Just like consciousness is the same, existence, the
So first let us
existence is
examine the
being.
existence part, sat part, then we will go to the chit part.
Yeah,
So the sat
existence
part,
is
how?
the same, right? I mean, when we are seeing everything, what is there, what we are actually seeing is the existence, the isness, the being part.
Hmm.
So that is the same. The source is the same. So that is where if there is a bird which is flying, when the isness that I see, see initially it is I, the object, and the subject. So the subject is looking at the object. So when you remove the duality, what is there is just the seeing. That's all, the ing part. So in everything, when the culmination happens, that sarvam kalvidam brahman, what is there is the isness or the doing part. That's all. The source, I mean the subject and the object both disappear, or rather culminate.
Can we say I exist is clear? There is no doubt about I exist. And the objects that are experienced in mind are the changing part. So I cannot be 100% sure about the other objects' existence, but that object comes into existence in my mind and goes away, and I exist is known. So that alone is the truth. Is the statement making sense?
Yeah, Vijayji, yes. So the world rises when I rise. So it is something which rises and falls in the eye of my mind. So yeah.
There is no way to tell there is a world outside of me.
Hmm.
See, the only thing is, are there two isness? is it two Sat or is it two Chit? To
No,
say
no.
that,
There's
then
nothing. So here we are mainly focusing on it. It is not two. Everything is only one. So it is one existence, one consciousness. The source is one. The creator is one. So it is like culminating the whole thing, because as I exist, the world exists.
so which means that it is
Yes.
rising and falling in me.
Yes. Yes.
The world that I see is a projection of me.
Yes. Yes.
So in other words, all these gross objects
Mm.
is a projection of the content of my mind.
Yes.
Then how come that you and I also both experience the same mountain? How come my mind's content is we say, okay, my world is different, my family is different, my thoughts are different, my whatever life circumstances are different, but then there are some common objects here. There is mountain, there is river, which we both agree, sun.
It is the universal consciousness which is manifested as the world. So what we see and what we experience are common in certain ways, and the other things are just the situations that the mind projects. So I think I need a clarity about this from you only, Vijayji.
So how come we both are experiencing the same thing?
Yeah.
All right. So let's listen to Saravanji also.
It's the way I see it is it's a nice statement. We say that there is only one, but then we see so many different things. Right? If I can see myself as different from this laptop from you, that means that the only way I can see different things is there is a separation part, right? If I have to see something else, that means there has to be multiple things. But then we are saying there is only one, right? So this is where I see the role of Maya, where it is able to make multiple things appear at the same time. Going back to our classic snake and rope, in that place, in that time, when the person sees without knowledge, he sees a snake and he fears, and all the things, all the emotions start. And but then, like, once the light is put, he can clearly see the rope, which basically means the Maya is able to superimpose one over the other, right? So the two concepts got created at the same time, right? So similarly, there is this oneness, but then the Maya makes it appear like they're different. Right? I am different from the world, and like everyone, all us outside me, everything is part of the world. So it creates the difference that, like, me and the Jagat is different, right? So that is out of ignorance. I am seeing it. I am seeing a different world. But once the light of jnana is put, then it basically you realize that, like, oh, okay, so I was seeing it as different, but then, like, it's just that appearance, okay, and the reality is one, right? And I think this is where the understanding of the Jagat is needed, because as you gave example of that dosa, like you see the final form and it looks very different, but then, like, the characters of that you can identify if you go back to see like how it got created. So that matter cannot be very different, or it cannot have different characteristics from the source, right? And it is that you see it as different, but it is nothing but the same thing, right?
Wonderful. But how do you, if I persist, so in your statement, Saravananji, there is a belief. The belief is that you've given me a concept called Maya, and you're proving that, it's all Maya. It is creating two. But, in your earlier Tattva Bodha, you gave me a very, very clear prakriya of negation, or you gave me a very clear viveka through which you could discriminate, and it made absolute sense. Okay, what is changing? Something that is constantly transforming shape and form is changing, and I can clearly experience change. So therefore, everything is changing, but the one who is perceiving is not changing. So in a very simple viveka, you gave me a tool to come to the reality that, oh, I am unchanging. But when it comes to world, now you've introduced a concept called Maya, and therefore you're saying it's a Maya that creates an illusion of two objects at the same time. Okay, from once when I'm ready to accept Maya, then I will say, yeah, two objects. Next part of your explanation is all correct. But like the first viveka that you gave me, is there a way to go deeper into how to look at the world that makes a sense for me? Because here you're creating world as if it's coming from Brahman, and who is also telling he is the all-pervading. Who am I? Who's talking about this?
Sir, may I say something?
Yes, Padmaji, please.
Yeah, so how I understood all this is, for example, when we see 57 and 58 video of Guruji, there we understand that the Maya in unmanifest condition is the causal body or the Karana Sharira. So I always had this question that if everything is like Brahman, why there are difference in the gross body which is seen by everybody? Of course, there is difference also in how you think, how your thoughts and what your experiences are. But that is something for it is very personal to you. But what the outside can be visible is something on a gross level, which we see that all of us are different with different abilities. So I always had this question that if Brahman is one, then how are these things created? So I had one way of understanding that suppose I am a painter, I am Brahman. Depending upon the colors that I have with me, and say today I am painting, say 3-4 paintings. Suppose morning I am in such a way that I choose more of red colors and all the bright yellows and this thing. The painting that I create will be very different as opposed to say I create something with only blue or green, or maybe something I create with only black and white. So it is starkly different, but it is arising from the same person, same source. I mean, okay. So that is how I understood it. But one aspect which, like what you are talking about, is where you are saying that why all of us are experiencing the mountain and the rivers and all this. How can that be same for everybody, but other things are different? So that when I thought about it, I thought that mountain, rivers, all this is just existence. There are, we also say that there are millions of galaxies. This is not the one galaxy. So we have until I understand or know what is a galaxy, I don't have an understanding, or even I cannot bring up a picture in my mind as to what is a galaxy. But because say you are saying, I accept it. And I think that is where all that paroksha and all those things come into picture, where we are just following that, okay, there is a galaxy, there is a Milky Way. All this has been told to us. We have not gone and seen these things. So again, this is coming like an acquired knowledge. But I feel that there are many things in existence. So like you said, there is no way of knowing, except for ourselves. We cannot definitely say that these things are there. What we experience, that is the only thing that we can say that it is truly there. Or even that for me, I am existent is something which is constant for me. If I see a flower or if I see a plant in my house, or for that matter, even when I see you or I look at my husband or my son, I cannot say that they are truly existent, right? Because they are responding and reacting to me in a certain way, which I expect of them, or which I think will be logical. They interact with me. So I assume that whatever I have in me as existence is also present in that person or that object. The extent of that existence may vary depending upon whether it's a human being or a flower or some other object, because the way they interact is very different. That is how I made a sense, but still I think I would want you to throw a light on like why everybody experiences that, if it is something different from how I am understanding.
No, excellent. See, first is the truth is I exist, and that is known. There is no need to prove that. And the world is an appearance in the mind. And the appearance and disappearance of certain particular shapes and forms, the mind has the ability to give labels to it. Mountain, oh my father, my mother. So like that, various kinds of labels are given to appearance and disappearance of objects in the mind. So fundamentally, what is world for you? World is fundamentally some things appear and disappear in your mind, and that is what you are referring as world. While the objects appear and disappear, you may also attach other various, let's say, concepts, which is what you call as judgment. I like this, I don't like this. This one did it to me this way. This one is not nice. That is not in the object or the sensation that is appearing in your mind, but that's an additional information that is in your memory, which you're attaching to that. So in a way, you see, let's say, a flower, you think, oh, if I take this flower, I can please somebody. Whereas a small baby sees the flower, it is a seeing the flower. It is a seeing the flower. There is no additional judgment about, oh, this will be light. You know, my wife, no, she today fought with me. If I take this rose flower, she'll be happy with me. All this is additional concepts that are going into the sensation that are coming in. They don't exist. Additional concepts don't exist. These are colors added by the mind. So what is then world? Keeping aside the judgment part, if you keep aside the judgment part, what is world? Nothing but appearance and disappearance of various sensations. Because the world, you're aware of the world only through your five senses. Some image comes, some sound comes, some smell, so on and so forth. And what is it fundamentally? Fundamentally sensation. So some sensations appear and disappear. That you're constantly giving a label. So when that labeling is even the body is another appearance and disappearance in the mind only. What I call as me, my body, is nothing but another appearance and disappearance in my body, in the mind only. This is no different because this is also world. What is world? World is appearance and disappearance of sensations. It is like this, I call this is my sense. This is actually not my sense in a way. So it's even this is an object appearing in the mind. So you have never really seen a rose. You've never really seen a mountain. You know the sensation that is coming and going. That's why you've never really seen that object. You've never really seen that object. So part of it is felt. That is why in Sanskrit, Namapadas are not about the object. They're not the object. The Namapadas are always an attribute of the object. You've never seen fire, but fire's characteristic is what is given a name. In Sanskrita, when names are given, a characteristic is given a name. So characteristic of that object is given one particular name. Like Vishnu Sahasranama. Each name is one characteristic, one attribute, one quality of the totality. But that is not the totality. That name is not totality. That name recognizes one quality in the totality. Like that, all the objects coming into the mind are nothing but part of the totality. So something appears and you give a name. Something else appears, you give another name. It's your way of classifying. That's the ability, that's the power that your mind already has got. So when you're non-judgmental, you have no like or dislike to whatever the sensation that is coming. Then you are just a Sakshi. Then there is no battle between you and the world. The battle is only about the judgment part in the mind that comes into the sensation that is appearing and disappearing in the mind. I want only this sensation. I don't want these sensations. I like these sensations that are appearing. This is mine. That is not mine. So fundamentally, what you are calling as mine and not mine is nothing but some sensations that are appearing in your mind. Please see, what you call as mine and not mine is nothing but some sensation that is appearing and disappearing in your mind. How can you ever claim ownership of sensation? Meaning, how can you ever hold sensation? Because it is not a particular thing. It's like you throw a stone into water, waves appear. Can you capture wave and say, oh, this is it? You click a photo and say, look, this is my wave. But it's a photo, it's a memory. It is not. Now if you go, it has disappeared. So constantly the world is appearing and disappearing in you. That appearance and disappearance is what you call as the world. And when you add your own concepts, that is all part of, your world. Meaning this, what you call as my mind. What you call as my mind is nothing but collection of some memory. How do you know the person in front of you is your son? Because of the memory. So this part is the Maya. What is Maya? How it was defined earlier? Maya is that which is constantly changing is Maya. What is constantly changing? Sensations are constantly changing. Sensations are constantly changing. So now coming to the next question, how come we all experience the same object? I don't know whether we are all experiencing the same object. I cannot say for sure anything else other than saying that in my mind's screen, I see one sensation and I call it as my son. In my mind's screen, I see a sensation and I call it as a mountain. In my mind's screen, I see something else. So these things are appearing and disappearing. Yes, Padmaji.
Sir, so can we say that most of us don't have any judgment on things like mountain, waterfall, and all this? That is why they appear like good to all of us. Like it's like the same sensations arise maybe for all of us. Can we say that?
I mean, it depends. For example, let's say you are crossing a mountain with your loved one and your loved one fell and died. You may start hating that mountain. What a bloody mountain.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. In general, I mean, that is very one in many situation, right? But generally, there is what I mean is, like, for example, if I'm interacting with, say, people or somebody who's as living as me, who's interacting with me like that, I may have various judgments and they keep changing, right? Depending upon what is my experience about with that person. But in a general situation where, most of us, if you ask as this thing, everybody will have not a very, I mean, they perceive certain things which are in nature to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a common this thing. So can we say that it's arriving from that? Like,
because
we don't have much
judgment. Where there is no judgment, there is no like or dislike. That's why for the very first time, baby puts its hand in fire. No judgment.
Correct.
So then the concept develops. Oh, this thing can burn.
Yeah, true.
For the baby, the pee or the poop is not an object of yuck. It touches, it plays with it.
Yeah.
Then the world teaches, the society teaches the baby, hey, what are you doing? For the baby, there is no body consciousness. There is no, okay, my eyes can be shown to others, but my lower part of the body cannot be shown to others. It doesn't have a concept like that. So it walks around without any kind of inhibition. Then people put the concept, shame, 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 shame. Now the baby learns. So judgments is what makes you see that object in a certain way. So therefore, keeping the judgment aside, in a non-judgmental way, what is world? Nothing but appearance and disappearance of various sensation is what you have been referring always as the world. So now you are sure of your own existence. So then what is appearing and disappearing is culminating in you. So it is you.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
I mean, we can finish this and then take that up. Like in the 57 video, I have written that like a causal body or karana sharira is unmanifest condition, maya in unmanifest condition, right? But and it will be once the equilibrium disturbs, it will be different, which is giving rise to the subtle and the gross body. Now, sir, where does the prarabdha fit into all this? Is prarabdha is obviously different from the causal sharira, right?
Prarabdha is whenever I have claimed ownership, whenever I have claimed ownership, and I still feel that I am this limited entity, then the prarabdha is there. Because prarabdha, how is it defined? What is prarabdha? You know, whatever I did, my karma, I have to suffer. Your karma is different. Your prarabdha is different. That is a concept I have in the mind. No, the concept of the prarabdha. What is that? We generally think. What is that? I think prarabdha is what I have done in the past comes to me. As a non-judgmental being, what is mine and what is not mine? Where is the boundary of me and you? In that non-judgmental,
can you put it in a different way? I am understanding it a little bit, but still there is, I am not getting the clarity that they are two different things. Like, because what I understand is like prarabdha can be from a previous lifetime also, right? Like some people, if suppose they are born with certain disability, we can associate like, you know, it could be some of your prarabdha karma, and mostly we hear that your prarabdha karma is something which you have to experience. There is no escape from it, right? So,
it is to help the mind come to the fundamental question. See, the mind is constantly focused on, ayo, I'm suffering, ayo, I'm suffering. So now how do you remove that suffering from the mind? Otherwise, the mind will not dwell into the source. What is the fundamental issue between an Agnani and Agnani? For the Agnani, the world is real. So therefore, the happenings in the world are real. So therefore, the suffering is real. So therefore, the mind is so bogged down in looking at the Maya and constantly screaming.
So can we say that it is trying to find the logic behind what is happening to you?
So at least,
and one of the ways to do it is to label it like this, like, okay, this is this thing. So once it is this thing, then there is nothing I can do, right? Especially if it is from my past life.
it is like right now there is sun is burning hot. Let's say whatever, say 36 degree. What is it I can do? If let's say there is no shelter, if there is no tree in the foreseeable distance, what is it I can do? Either sit somewhere or continue to walk. However I curse, whatever I feel, it cannot change. So continue to walk. Accept. Acceptance is the way to make the mind quiet. The judgment part is the one which makes us go through all the roller coaster in our life. So how do you quiet the judgment part of the mind? Accept as is. What as is? Everything. Because the mind is so connected to the body, thinking that I am this body. So the suffering is, whatever the changes that are happening is all happening to me. That Brahma, that wrong perception is there. So how do you remove the perception problem? How do you help to remove the perception problem? Because fundamentally everything is a matter of perception. The right seeing can happen only through the jnana. And to use the jnana and to listen to the jnana, the mind has to be quiet. If the mind is constantly screaming, Okay, so now I'm burning. Instead of saying that put some ointment, you are telling me that there is no burning. Burning is your imagination. You will say, go away.
Sir,
Yes, Shubhaji.
um, can we relate that video which you showed us about the girl who didn't have hands but was using her upper part of her hand to eat? Like she was in suffering. Rather, when we saw, we felt she's suffering, but in her mind, she was not suffering, right? So all the suffering is in our mind, right?
Because fundamentally, you don't know whether another mind exists or not. You know that that child is appearing in your mind as a sensation. And you see something. And you are putting a label. You're absolutely right. It is your mind that you're projecting onto another object. Rose is beautiful. Rose doesn't have a concept called beautiful. The water in the gutter is so yucky. Water in the gutter has no concept called yucky. You are projecting your mind onto the objects that you see. So realization is seeing them without judgment. And the seer no more has any judgment about what is being seen. Therefore, there is no question, no contradiction that there is me and somebody else. Because Brahman only is, consciousness only is. Because who am I? Consciousness. The awareness principle. That alone is. And the world is appearing and disappearing as sensations. So what is really world? Thoughts in my mind. If I remove the judgment part, rest everything else, like Satyajit said, is just coming and going, appearing and disappearing. There's only ing. There is no permanency in that. It is not permanent. It is only ing. It is constantly changing. Rose appeared and disappeared. Music appeared and disappeared. Medu Vada appeared and disappeared. There's only ing, changing, coming and going. That world is not a permanent phenomenon, not a thing. It's not like you. You are the only one who you can say with certainty, absolute certainty, I exist. I am there. In you, the world is appearing and disappearing. And what 57 is trying to give us is a explanation to how this seems to appear and disappear. What is making up various qualities? Why this appears red? Why this appears tasty? Because there's a constitution of the three gunas. And depending upon the guna, that object's sensation differs. But ultimately, all of this is once again a concept in you. You are the one who's giving it a label called Sattva, Tamo, Rajo. You are the one who's giving it a label. You are the one who's trying to explain. Why? Because there is a part of the mind which is asking the question, what is the origin of the world? What is the origin of the world? How did the world originate? A small child will wonder about the mystery, will not put the question, how did it all come? It may just wonder about the mystery, and it's a mystery. It's like, especially little children, you play them peekaboo, right? Hey, where are you? And have you seen the little child? How it lights up? When your hand is covering your face, the child is so searching everywhere. And the way it removes, the child lights up. Simple game. But the child lights up with that simple game. Appearance and disappearance. Oh wow, it's appearing and disappearing. It's a magic. You are a magician to that child. So all these concepts are given so that the mind can quieten down. Because otherwise, if you truly ask the question, so what is sattva? Show me sattva. You'll try to explain it in so many different ways. But you're aware that there is a quality which makes it peaceful. What is it can never be extracted out. See here, this is sattva. I cannot ever say. I can only describe it in terms of certain qualities. But all of that is in interpretation, right? All of that is in interpretation. In the mind, I'm interpreting. What is happening? Only ing. Right now, like in your meditation, see, we all have practiced the sensation meditation, the Buddha meditation. In that, what are you doing? You are just noticing various sensations appearing and disappearing in the screen called mind. That's all. You are there is certain, no question, no doubt. Rest everything is appearing and disappearing. Is this bringing clarity to the question that we raised? Satyaji, are you there?
Yeah, Vijayji. But still, the one question about how is it the commonness? So the world is created mostly by the judgment that we make. Otherwise, it is the same. So mountain, all of us are perceiving it as a mountain. Is it just because there is no judgment?
The only person you are certain about is you, isn't it, Satyaji?
Yes, that is existence.
So the other person is a sensation appearing and I am a sensation appearing and disappearing in you. This fellow called Vijay is just a sensation appearing and disappearing in you. This fellow called Vijay, does he even, how do you know that he is there? The sounds he is making.
So how I can see this is because I exist, or the moment I am aware, the world appears, because that is when the world also arises. It is arising because of me, or I am perceiving, that is why the world exists. And how come that regarding the sensations, judgments, or feelings, or the thoughts, yes, it is the mind which is making the difference. So difference is answered, but how come the commonness?
Because how can you say that I am something other than you? This
Yeah, so,
sensation that is
so is it the
appearing,
same? That is the universal consciousness that is there in everyone. And
because
again, there is this individual consciousness, which is, I mean, the universal consciousness is what is common in all the whole world. And that is where we are able to see everything in common.
because there is only universal consciousness,
Hmm.
rest everything else is just a appearance and disappearance.
Yeah, okay. Hmm.
Because who I call as me, because in order to say the question, let's understand the question little clearly. The question is, there is me, Satya, there is Vijay, both of us are seeing the mountain. What is the reason for that commonality? In order to say that there must be Vijay, there must be Satya. Is that even the reality? That is not even the reality.
Again, we
no,
go to duality. We do that, yeah.
There is no Satya, there is no Vijay.
So that is universal consciousness, which is the only thing that is there. And everything else regarding, likes, dislikes, or judgments, that is arising from the mind, which is changing, and that is anitya. So that is anyway unreal. And
You have gone into mute mode, Satyaji. Can you please unmute?
whatever we are seeing together, that is because we all are the consciousness, the same consciousness.
When I have a concept that it is like, that's why this analogy is useful. There are so many pots with water and there is sun reflecting. When I look at the reflection in the pot, it feels like there is one sun, second sun, third sun. There are 5 suns if there are 5 pots of water. Then it's a reflection which is connected with the pot that is asking this question. Oh, I am also seeing, let's say, another pot. Are you also seeing that other pot? But what is the source of the awareness for this pot? The source of the awareness is this only, the sun only. There is sun only, there is nothing else. The pot is an appearance and disappearance in the sun. So therefore,
it is the reflection in all the different objects. That is, it points back to the same source.
Correct. And the reflection is wrongly getting connected with the reflection surface and saying that, oh, I am the reflection surface. Only when the reflection surface is identified as separate, then another reflection surface is seen. Then there is, oh, okay, how to explain this? Confusion arises. You're not the reflection. You're not the reflection surface. You are the source of the reflection. You're the source of the awareness of this reflection. You're the source of awareness of all these various reflection surfaces.
Yes, Vijayji, I think this makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why it is said that when you ask the question about origin of the world, there are so many answers ranging from total mysticism. It cannot be known. From there to explaining it in a certain way, but still you have to accept certain things here. If you are seeing, because this whole explanation is making sense. This whole explanation about the gunas and the panchabhutas is all for the one who thinks it's the reflection surface, is a reflection, and getting connected with the reflecting surface, with the part. I am the part. That part thinks, okay, what is the nature? How did all these other parts come into existence? To explain that, there has to be a certain logical progression. And here it is very clear, you can see these qualities in different objects. You can see these elements in different objects. But fundamentally, where is all of this is being seen? In you. You are the only one you can be 100% absolutely sure of. I exist, has no questions. Rest everything else is appearing and disappearing in me. And when I remove the judgment, then there is no more love or hate relationship with the objects that are coming and going in the mind. With the sensations that are coming and going in the mind, there is no more battle. It's a judgment part that is creating all the battle. So, Samyak Darshana, seeing, right seeing, means there is no more the world and me. World is in me. World is in me. So what is that I hate? What is that I love? Are certain formations of the sensations in a particular time and space. Because the mind has to create the concept of time. And how is that created? By memory. In this moment, really there is no past, there is no future. There is only this moment. In this moment, through the concept of memory, I can create past. Past is created only because of memory. And the moment past comes, I also have the concept of a future. Yes, Padmaji.
So, like, is there a reason why I create what I create? because it's not same, right? It's not same, right? If you look at the experiences, so is there a reason why I create what I create? Because we come across incidents where, you know, very, very small children go through very terrific experiences, which we read about. So that is why my first question about that prarabdha and that causal body was because from the world perspective, there is all this, you know, the police, Gillis, all this court case, and they do all that. But why does that small being who's like very pure, like we believe it, and why does it have to go through that? So is there a reason why I create what I create? Is there an explanation for that anywhere?
So, you know, there are, that's why the prarabdha itself comes, and the root ignorance that I am actually separate comes. What is the starting point of any desire? Starting point of any desire is, I need to get something that I don't have.
Yeah, you feel limited. There is a need for expansion. Correct.
Yeah. So that and when you're already the infinite, how can you expand further? So the
True,
whole
but
desire
to
itself,
realize that, right?
the whole desire is a wrong perception. It's a perception issue. Seeing the rope, I confuse it as a snake. It's a wrong perception. It doesn't exist, but I perceive it to exist. It's a mistake in understanding. It's a mistake in seeing. It's a wrong way of seeing. It appears to be so true. So the appearance causes all that confusion. Then I get into the cycle of action. Then every action has a natural consequence, and that builds up. So the right seeing is becoming aware that what I have been seeing is not really the snake. Then I become free from the tension and the worry that the snake caused. Then there is no more battle. There is no more battle, because then I'm free. It's the battle that causes all the questions.
So can we say that the explanation given here, it is for the first time that the manifestation happens, but after that it is not just that, but it is also perpetuating because of the karma phala that the karmas that we gather and maybe we experience or do not experience in this lifetime, and so it is carried forward to the next. And going on like
Both
that.
creation and creation is also perpetual. Maya Shakti is inherent in the Brahman, means what? Creativity is inherent. And Brahman is anadi. There is no beginning, there is no end. So creation also, there is no beginning, there is no end. So that's why it's called yuga, the cycle of the yugas. The cycle of the, see, cycle means what? There is no beginning, there is no end. So it's a perpetual.
So when we say that we escape from the cycle of birth and death, it is not essentially that statement exactly, but it is just that we don't connect to the karma and all those things, and so we just go through it. That is what happens when we realize the self, right?
Your deep attachment to I am an object goes away. Your deep attachment that I am an object goes away. That I am pure awareness shines. Because as an object you suffer, as an awareness is.
Okay, so the statement that once you are self-realized, even then it doesn't stop, right? It's just made up that there is no life, and I mean there is no birth or life after that.
There is no tension with the world, because the world is no different from you. See, the master says,
in that case, I think there is no accumulation of further karma. What is already there has to be anyway born, but there is no further accumulation.
Meaning what? You no more have any claim of ownership, and the whole cycle becomes a enjoyable cycle. No, see, why are you worried about papa and punya? Ayo, what will happen? Why are you worried? Because there is a connection to the object. I am an object. That's why the object is worried. Oh, if this happens, it's good. Oh, this happens, it is bad. Oh, I will suffer. Why? I still think I'm an object. So when I'm not an object, then when there's a screen and a movie coming, when I realize that I'm just a watcher of the movie, I sit with popcorn and I enjoy the movie. Any other statements or points coming? Shall we conclude then today's session? Padmaji?
Yeah, yes, sir. Right, seeking. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from untruth to truth, darkness to light, impermanence to permanence.
That's why the great masters say, you are the creator of your destiny. When they say that, because you are this fully potent conscious being, based on what you are projecting, you're creating. Your world is a reflection of you.
Self is whole. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is complete. This is complete. When completeness is removed from completeness, what remains is complete. When completeness is added to completeness, totality remains complete. Om, peace, peace, peace.
See, again, this is also pointing. The water is complete. Each drop of water is inherently complete.
Hmm.
Each drop of water is inherently complete. You cannot make it more complete or less complete. It's already complete. I have to recognize.
Hmm.
So each moment is fully divine moment and fully complete. Each moment. It's already that.
Hmm.
But in my mind, I create a concept called enlightenment. One day, something spectacular will happen, light and sound show. And from that moment, I will be enlightened. It will be more complete from that point. It is less complete now. These statements, do they even have a validity? How can I say something is more complete? Then it means that it was not complete.
Nanu, nanenbadu, nanalla, ideha, manabuddhi, nanalla, Sachidanandatma, Shivananu Nane, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am not the body, mind, intellect. I am pure consciousness, Shiva Swarupi. Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyadarshanam. Recognition of self is recognition of the whole. Recognition of the whole is the truth. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhana Mrityormukshiyamamrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamritat. We worship the three-eyed one, who is fragrant and who nourishes all. Like the fruit falls off from the bondage of the stem, may we be liberated from death, from mortality. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.